post-game reaction, and this week's Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week. It's all straight ahead on Hooten's Arkansas Football.
You make sure you're physical.
Well, I'm riding on the ball game.
You get that blood in your eyes and you play with heart.
I think so.
We've cut the field in half, down from 96 to 48 teams now, vying for state championships. Hello and welcome to Hooten's Arkansas Football. In the next 30 minutes, we have highlights from the first round of postseason action, plus pregame pep talks, postgame reaction, and of course, the latest Hooten's rankings. It's all coming up in the next half hour. We're glad you're with us, and we'll get started with a look at Class 2A, the first round of the playoffs, next on Hooten's Arkansas Football.
Hooten's Arkansas Football is brought to you by First Security Bank, by Landers, by Sonic, by Sonic.
And we begin our Class 2A highlights with top-ranked Shiloh playing host to Johnson County Westside last night. The Rebels were making their first playoff appearance since 1991. And Westside got to the playoffs by handing the football to Big David Eastep, who barrels up the middle for big yardage. But 2 plays later, Westside fumbles and Daniel Savage recovers for Shiloh. The Saints quickly convert with Rhett Lashley hitting James Schisler for 19 yards. Then Lashley finds Luke Emmert for the touchdown, and Shiloh led 27-0 in the first quarter. Westside used all of its playbook at Shiloh. Quarterback Jimmy Edwards passes to Josh Yarbrough for 15 yards. Then the Rebels try the reverse to Matt Mooney, but he's brought down by Shiloh's Brady Arthur. Undaunted, Westside's Duck Smith fakes the reverse handoff, but he's collared by Drew Samuelson on 4th down. Shiloh Christian was up 42-0 before halftime and gave next week's opponent, Hazen, a little more to prepare for. Check out this formation. Will Flowers at quarterback, Lashley split left, and backup quarterback Nathan Emmert catching the pass, running 20 yards to the Westside 37. Then Flowers throws to Lashley, and he bulls his way to the 18. And that play would set up the touchdown. Our camera gets just as wide as possible to keep all of the Saints on your screen, and Flowers connects with Schisler for the score. The final, Shiloh Christian 52, Johnson County Westside 16. Harding Academy made its 20th playoff appearance last night at beautiful First Security Stadium in Searcy, where the Wildcats played host to Mountain Pine. And the Red Devil defenders were covering well last night, inviting Harding's quarterback Caleb Keys to run. And run he did. The junior took off 19 times for 171 yards and 4 touchdowns. Keys is not afraid to mix it up a little bit before he's knocked out of bounds. Harding stays on the ground with the handoff to freshman Craig Kell. On the next play, Keys fakes the handoff to Kell, which fools our cameraman, and the big quarterback keeps it for the touchdown. That made it Harding Academy 7, Mountain Pine 0. Mountain Pine gets a break on Harding's second possession when Keys passes deflected and then intercepted by Josh Bailey, who returns it all the way down to the Harding 12-yard line. Mountain Pine's got something going, and 2 plays later, Matt Crumpton will score and tie the game at 7. Mountain Pine actually led 14-7 in the second quarter, but Harding rallied and hung on for victory. Final score, Harding Academy Wildcats 35, Mountain Pine 20. Harding Academy was the top seed from the 5AA North. Mayflower is the number 4 seed. And Thursday night, Mayflower went back to Bauxite, where the 5AA South champion was waiting. It was Mayflower's 3rd straight trip to the pit to open the playoffs. And on Bauxite's first play from scrimmage, the turnover would set the tone. Bauxite quarterback Josh Seaman's pass is deflected by Jonathan Jones and intercepted by Herb Grigsby. Grigsby returns at 55 yards for the touchdown, and Mayflower led 6-0. Mayflower and Bauxite combined for 8 turnovers Thursday night, and the physically superior team won. Mayflower is headed for Desert next week. Final score, Eagles 28, Bauxite 14. Shiloh Christian is still on top of Hooten's Arkansas Football Class 2A rankings. The Saints' next victim is Hazen. We'll head to Hampton later in this show for this week's Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week. Camden Harmony Grove throttled a good Murfreesboro team last night, 47-6. Now Harmony Grove will try to move beyond the second round of the playoffs for the first time in school history, and it'll be tough next week at Harding Academy. Rison is healthy and headed for Augusta next week. Carlisle's number 5. There's Harding. Junction City is 7. Mineral Springs is out of the playoffs, knocked out by Rison last night. Charleston and Junction City will play next week in a rematch of a 2000 quarterfinal game. Danville's number 10. Then it's Barton. The Bears will face former Desart coach Lee Larkin as he brings the Greenland Pirates to East Arkansas. The Augusta Red Devils are red hot. Foreman's 13. There's Murfreesboro and Hazen. Desark and Mayflower will play next week. Greenland's 18. Mark Tree plays Carlisle next Friday. And Bauxite season is over at number 20. Coming up next, more of Hooten's Arkansas football. Class 3A highlights straight ahead.
Finding your way. Arkansas football, brought to you by Landers.
Who's the best team in the state? We are! Guys, the road to the rock starts tonight. The road to the rock starts tonight, and we're going to kick their butt.
That's Warren's coach Bo Hembry, whose number 1 ranked Lumberjacks played host to the Mena Bearcats last night. And the Jacks didn't waste any time as quarterback Reed McKinney finds Roshan Fellows on Warren's 3rd play from scrimmage, and Roshan does the rest. 57 yards for the touchdown. Warren showed even less mercy on defense. That's Ryan LeFew stepping in front of a Mena pass, and here come the Lumberjacks. Terrence Ingram takes the handoff, breaks some tackles, and that's a nice gain for Warren. McKinney and Fellows then hook up on the slant, and Warren has 1st and goal at the 5. McKinney, who finished the night with 284 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, feels a little pressure from Mena but shows poise and determination for the touchdown. The Jacks remain unbeaten and have a showdown with Clarksville next week. Final score, Warren Lumberjacks 46, Mena 14. The Dumas Bobcats squeaked into the playoffs by winning their final 2 games of the regular season in the 6 AAA. Last night, the Bobcats were trying to continue that streak in North Little Rock against Pulaski Oak Grove. Early on, though, it was all Oak Grove. Senior running back C.C. Macon takes it in from a yard out, and the Hornets led 7-0. Dumas would gamble on its next possession. On 4th and 4 from midfield, senior running back Matthew Rush says, "Forget the first down. I'm headed for the touchdown." 58 yards for the score. Dumas's Kendrick Holmes recovers the squib kick a few plays later, and Rush would score again. Oak Grove and quarterback Matt Pruss try to go to the air, but Dumas safety Anthony Gray intercepts it and returns it 30 yards. And on the very next play, Dumas would strike again. You guessed it, Rush goes 38 yards for the touchdown, and Dumas demolishes Oak Grove. The Bobcats are at home next week in the 2nd round against the Ozark Hillbillies. Final score, Dumas 45, Oak Grove 21. Oak Grove is out of the playoffs, but 5 AAA champion Pulaski Academy is still rolling. Bruin quarterback Thomas Thrash has been providing fireworks all year long, and Thrash entered last night's game at Bruin Stadium against Hughes, needing just 3 more touchdown passes to set a national single-season record. But it took some time for PA to solve Hughes' single-wing offense. In the first quarter, sophomore Andre Walker takes it 60 yards for Hughes, and that tied the game up at 7. But the Bruins finally hit stride, and Thrash connects with Scott Hilburn for his 66th touchdown pass of the year. Minutes later, Thrash puts his name in the national record books with a short pass to Blake Miller, and the Rocket Man will spin off a tackle and outrace Blue Devils for the touchdown. Thrash threw a couple of more touchdown passes, and the Bruins are set for a showdown next week with Dardanelle. Final score, Pulaski Academy 63, Hughes 29. Atkins, another member of the 5 AAA conference, was back in the playoffs for the first time in 3 years, but had a tough draw at Dollarway last night on the opening kickoff. Dollarway's Chris Evans wastes no time, taking the kick back 90 yards upfield, almost untouched, and all the way for the score. Atkins blocked the extra point, and the Red Devils chewed up the clock with its running game. Had a chance to score on 4th down, but Dollarway's defense knocks down Atkins' pass, and the Cardinals start to cruise. Dollarway will play host to Gosnell next week. The final, Cardinals 28, Atkins 0. And here is looking at Hooten's Arkansas football Class 3A rankings. No change in the top 5. Number 1, Warren will play host to Clarksville next Friday. Clarksville's 2 losses this season have been by a combined 5 points. Dardanelle is number 7. The Sand Lizards will match their spread offense with Pulaski Academies next week. Get set for a 3+ hour game at PA next Friday. Star City starts the second 10. Star City was one of only 2 number 4 seeds to win in Class 3A last night. BB got its first playoff win since 1985, beating Brinkley 36-33 last night. Ozark is number 16. The Hillbillies were the other number 4 seed to win. They beat Prairie Grove 13-6. Hamburg is 17. There's Prairie Grove, DeQueen, and Brinkley. Coming up next, more of Hooten's Arkansas football. Class 4A highlights straight ahead.
Of Hooten's Arkansas football, brought to you by Arkansas Heart Hospital.
And we begin our Class 4A highlights in Searcy, where last night the Lions played host to Batesville, which was looking for its first ever playoff win. And the Pioneers led Searcy 14-7 early before Searcy's superb running tandem of junior Earl Young and sophomore Weston Dacus took over. Dacus pounds in for a short touchdown run. Senior place kicker Nathan Rutledge would add the extra point. That tied it at 14. A little bit later, Searcy on 4th and 2 from midfield would go for it. The Lions don't use any gimmicks, just Dacus, who escapes Batesville's pursuit and picks up 23 yards. Big play. Then on the goal line, with just 3 seconds left in the half, the Lions gamble and give it to Young, who scores. Batesville would come back to tie it in the third quarter, but Dacus would finish with 183 yards and 4 touchdowns for Searcy. The Lions will move on to face Monticello next week. And stay tuned, Searcy. The Billies have a message for you in a minute. Final score, Searcy 41, Batesville 21. Monticello made an early exit from the playoffs last season when Searcy upset the Billies in the first round. Last night, it was visiting Magnolia, up 3-0, but it was all Billies the rest of the way. Monticello shut out Magnolia the final 3 quarters. That's Zach Ross, Ramar Matthews, and Terrence Vaughn stonewalling the Panthers in the fourth quarter. On offense, the Billies were led by Delvin Shipp, who rushed for 133 yards and a touchdown, and quarterback John Jackson, who passed for 114 yards and a touchdown. Magnolia got a little something going in the fourth quarter as Fred Davis dishes out some punishment on the draw play, but it was too little too late for Magnolia. And Searcy is coming back to Monticello for a rematch of that first-round game from last year. Final score, Monticello Billies 21, Magnolia 3.
Let's play better next week than we played this week, and let's get after whoever we're going to play.
We out. We ready for Searcy. Whoever it is, we ready. So we want Searcy. They got us last. It's time to get them back. That's all we want is revenge on them. They came to our home last year and took it. We'll get them next. We'll get them this year. Last year, last chance, last time. We'll get them. Their last game.
Now, more of Hooten's Arkansas football, brought to you by First Security Bank.
And we'll begin our Class 5A highlights at historic Quigley Stadium, where Little Rock Central dominated West Memphis in the All-Tell Hooten's Kickoff Classic 10 weeks ago, winning by 3 touchdowns, and it could have been worse. But last night, 10 weeks later, it was a different story. Although Central led 14-0, thanks to Josh Sullivan's option keeper for a touchdown and 2-point pass to 6'4", 260-pound tight end Fred Bledsoe. Central had as much talent, if not more, than any team in Class 5A this year, and they had a 2-touchdown lead on West Memphis early in the third quarter. Central All-America tailback Dedrick Poole played both ways last night. Watch number 1. That's Poole. He knows exactly where the ball is going and can get there in a hurry. But West Memphis kept pounding away. Sophomore Kyle Payne cut it to 14-7 with this touchdown, and the Blue Devils would later take the lead and stop Poole on a 2-point conversion attempt in the final seconds to win. The final, Blue Devils 21, Central 20. The Fort Smith Southside Rebels, a 5A West power, was at surprising Little Rock Mills last night, taking on the number 2 seed Comets. Southside has lacked experience at quarterback all season, but seems to have settled down a bit with sophomore John Thomas as its starter. He passed for 169 yards and 3 touchdowns against Mills, including this beauty to Ben Bracken. Look at the little sophomore go. Kicker Jeremy Davis, another sophomore, added the extra point and would kick a 51-yard field goal just before halftime to give Southside a 16-0 lead at the break. Southside's defense scored twice in the second half. This guy, senior linebacker Simon returned a fumble 5 yards for a score, and the Rebels roll, making Mills' first playoff trip in 9 years a short one. The final, Southside 36, Mills 0. Southside will play at Conway in the second round. The Wampus Cats were the only team from the Central Conference to win last night, and they had to hold off the South's number 4 seed Bryant to do it. Matt White ran hard for the Hornets, totaling 99 yards on the night. Junior quarterback Lance Parker passed for 281 yards, and Bryant led 3-0 with Matt Sullivan's 24-yard field goal in the first quarter. But it was Conway sophomore Peyton Hillis's night. He carried 22 times for 129 yards and scored 3 touchdowns. Conway led 14-10 at halftime and held off a late Bryant rally to win its first playoff game since 1997. The final, Conway 28, Bryant 23. Russellville hasn't lost since the opening week of the season, and last night the Cyclones played host to Jacksonville on the first play of the second quarter. Its quarterback Landon Leach finding Aaron Williams for a 13-yard touchdown, and Russellville was looking good. Jacksonville matched the score, though, on its next possession as quarterback Chris Rodriguez sneaks in from 1, but 2 plays later, Leach is back, hitting sophomore Kevin Elliott for an 84-yard touchdown, and Russellville moved on top 13-7. Russellville's defense continues to make big plays. Last night was no exception. Drew Dickerson comes up with the big play, halting Jacksonville's drive with a key interception right here, and 4 plays later, Leach again hits Elliott, and the Cyclones blow past the Red Devils to set up a showdown next week against El Dorado. Final score, Cyclones 32, Jacksonville 14. Cabot has won 24 of its past 25 games, but the Panthers were struggling at home in the first half last night against Little Rock McClellan. Josh Green fields a McClellan punt, but he is stripped by Dante Smith, and Keith Jackson Jr. recovers for McClellan. 4 plays later, quarterback Darrell Burnett slips in from a yard out, and McClellan was up 6-0. McClellan's defense stuffed Cabot early, too. Tyler Knight upends quarterback Stephen Perry, but sophomore fullback Chris Robertson would take over for Cabot, breaking free for a 53-yard run. That would set up a 3-yard touchdown run a few plays later by Robertson, and Cabot goes on to win. The final, Panthers 29, McClellan 6. Russellville and Cabot hold on to the top 2 spots in Hooten's Arkansas football Class 5A rankings. Texarkana is up to number 3 after an impressive win over Springdale last night. Bentonville will be in Cabot next week. The second 5 starts with El Dorado, and the Wildcats are followed by Conway, West Memphis, Springdale, and Bryant. Pine Bluff lost a heartbreaker at Bentonville last night. The Zebras are followed by Benton, Northside, Lake Hamilton, and Little Rock Central. Mountain Home only lost by a touchdown at El Dorado last night. The Bombers are followed by Mills, McClellan, Van Buren, and Jacksonville.
Now, the Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Hampton's all-conference lineman Bud Dunn is tops in his class with a 4.0 GPA, and he says he wants to be a doctor. It's a good thing he already knows how to manage his time.
I consider it a real important job. It's hard at times to do schoolwork and go to practice to 6:30 at night and go home and do all my homework, but you just got to get the job done.
Getting the job done. That's Bud Dunn, our Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week.